Welcome to Real Talk. We are so glad that you are here today. Hey, we got two of our dear friends. We love them so much. They're incredible leaders, incredible preachers, incredibly beautiful people. Hey, can we all make some noise? Pastor James and Pastor Kate Aiton, all the way from the Philippines.
Hello. I don't know what I'm doing now.
How are we? How are you guys? Tell us how you're doing.
Great.
We're so good.
We're in our bed.
Excuse us in our bed.
We're in our bed.
This is intimate, man. This is real talk. There's nothing around here.
We locked the door, so the kids are outside. So we're happy to chat for as long as you want to chat for. No, we're good. We're good. We're just in lockdown here in the Philippines. So.
Tell us, what does that look like in the Philippines?
Yes.
Well, I haven't been outside for a long time.
Are you physically outside at all?
No, I can go out to do groceries.
Yeah.
But my kids.
In 5 weeks, you've been out three times or four times.
Wow.
True. So to do groceries. So.
And church.
Yeah, for our kids, they haven't been out. This is going into their 6th week of being inside our small condo. So they haven't run around. They haven't gone swimming. CCL, our 4-year-old, is desperate to go for a swim. So we just make a little pool on the balcony, and she just has like a little bucket that she swims in.
Which is 38 floors up.
Yeah, so have to watch her. Yeah, so it's been interesting, but it's been good family time.
Yeah. How would you exercise or anything like that?
I don't know, Katie. Can you let us know if you work it out?
Yeah. No. I was so judgy. Like, how judgy was that? How do you guys like?
Saying I'm fat? Is that what you're saying?
No, we got jumpers on. It's so hot here, but we're just wearing this. No judgment. Come on. If you work it out, let us know.
We've got young kids. We know that if they don't do something physical, especially our son, it's like his behaviour's feral. So.
Oh, you're talking about them. I thought you were talking about us. Okay.
No, like your kids, how do you keep them, you know?
No, we do. Yeah, we do lots of.
We sedate them every day at 10 a.m.
Yeah, right.
A session of sedation.
We put whiskey in their cereal. We put whiskey in their cereal.
We have a liquor ban here. Outside of the liquor ban box. No, they run around as much as they can. We do like Zumba times together, which because the two girls love dancing.
I just started working out.
How's that going?
It's okay. In the 5th week of.
You should see what he's working out.
I'm doing YouTube. Thank God for YouTube, huh?
Yeah.
What do you type in?
I just typed in home workout, and the first thing that came up was a high intensity, low impact beginner's workout.
No, I don't believe it. Kate, what did he type in?
It's for ladies that have just given birth. That's literally
there it is. There it is, man. Wait, bro, this is real talk. Don't lie to us on this platform, man. Don't lie to us on this platform.
I said high intensity, low impact beginner's workout. I didn't lie. It is what it is. Better than not doing anything.
It's true. And so we do that.
Don't say we. You don't do that with me, sweetheart.
We do that.
I do that.
So I do one that's a little bit more higher intense. But the kids, we do lots of praise sessions so they can jump around, and that's probably what we do every day for them the most.
Yeah, when we come around and seek the presence of the Lord together as a family,
we turn the lights down,
we
like
praise
atmosphere
and worship His glory together.
But it's been, it's not been easy, but it's okay. I'm trying to get used to it. Yeah.
It's annoying. It sucks. I hate this season right now.
Tell us a little bit about it. Like, obviously being locked down and being put in a, just kind of that feeling of restriction. Have you guys, has it started to bubble over in the Aiton house yet?
Super.
Of course.
Oh, you know what though? Someone just texted me and they said, "How you doing with Kate?" And no, it doesn't matter. No. But I actually said, this is an interesting call that we haven't talked about. I actually think we've been okay.
Yeah.
We have been normal, and when I say normal, we have disagreements all the time. So it's not like,
it's gonna bring that up.
Yeah, we probably in 5 weeks had one like shouting, where it was like, oh yeah, that blew up.
Oh, yeah, like.
But that's kind of
losing the plug.
It's kind of once every 5 weeks anyway in our house. So, but what's helped us is that when we first moved to the Philippines, we didn't really have a lot of people. And we had a home office for two
Yeah,
and
this
a
just
half,
feels
3 years, right? So
very familiar.
yeah, it feels very familiar. So this isn't wildly like different for us. In fact, it's almost better because when we first moved here, we didn't have a lot of people, whereas now we're busy with work.
True.
We're constantly
At least you've got
Zooming
people
people.
to talk to.
Yeah, we're actually busy. Whereas when you first started church and it's there, it's like, So we're actually okay with that. But probably the hardest thing is the family, and that, like the kids get stretching. But as well with our church, because it's a lockdown, we don't know what's happening week to week.
Yeah.
So we're like one of the only churches that are kind of meeting. We got our guys are like driving back streets to duck army checkpoints.
Yeah.
One of our singers on Sunday had to crawl under barbed wire to get out of her like subdivision. It's hilarious. And it's not hilarious. It's frustrating because we don't even people were getting texts today saying that the country might go into martial law tomorrow. So if that happens, everything changes. Like, we can't get out. We can't do a thing. So it's just the most annoying thing in this season is the constant uncertainty and constant unknown.
Yeah.
And we are really trying to do our best job within the ever-changing landscape of what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wow, it's crazy. Like we've been good at it. Like I reckon, it's been awesome. You were saying this.
Australia's easy.
Like, hey,
Australia's easy. You got backyards. You can go for walks.
It's true, man.
Yeah.
I'm literally keeping sane by renovating things. So like we just built a cubby house for the kids.
Yeah.
I'm painting the deck. Yeah.
You built a cubby house like yourself?
Oh, no, with my dad. We both did it. But
but let's talk about this. How much, like, when you say I did it with my dad, like, what's the ratio? Did you, like, get on the hammer and nails, or did you hand him?
Were you sipping a cup of tea, watching him do it?
Did you hand him?
I would
did you hand him the wood and he cut it, or were you in there? Like, give us the ratio breakdown.
Our kids were drilling and doing things.
Yeah, it's true. We're like, hey, if you want a house, you flip and build it, man. All right? Yeah.
It's actually really nice.
Yeah, our kids are like probably drilling.
This is part of schooling.
Yeah.
I would say I painted it mainly.
Yeah.
That would be.
Katie killed it. Like she's definitely like the handyman of our house. Like I can step into that role when I need to, but it's purely like necessity. Like it's like swimming. Like I don't like swimming, but I'll swim if I'm about to die. Do you know what I mean? Like the legs and the arms can go.
What do you do before you die?
Huh?
What are you doing before the moment of about to die?
No. I mean, I'm just like I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Whatever that. What's it called when I'm floating? What is it? I'm treading water.
Oh wow!
I can tread. But I'm just not. I'm not confident about it. So I can build when I need to build, but that's just not my lane. You know what I mean? Like it's.
Yeah, let Katie.
Let her do a thing. Let her shine.
Yeah,
you know
my
what I mean?
pregnancy is quite a restriction in that sense. You know, like I want to do more, but it's my body gives way.
What week are you now, Kate?
I'm
how many?
30 weeks. 30 weeks now.
And you're building a cubby house. What on earth?
Yeah, she's a beast.
If I don't, I'll go crazy.
That takes.
I'm doing the heavy lifting. Like I lifted the roof onto the thing. You know what I'm saying? But
all right, Tone it down.
Hey, look. We want to do this thing. We have this on our show, on this new show that we've been doing for so long.
What a great show it is.
We have a segment, and it's called "Would You Rather," and we're gonna do this segment. It's a new segment just for you guys. Just a couple questions, some would you rather questions, just so people can get to know you guys a little bit. I mean, you guys are obviously incredible leaders, but most times people see you guys on a platform or see you speaking or leading or something like that. The whole heart of this series is just to give people a background, behind the scenes look into people's lives. So we just want to get a little insight into who these guys are. So we're going to start light, and some of these questions will get a little bit more real. Okay, a bit more real. And so anyway, let's go. Okay, would you rather? Question number one. Would you rather? You ask the first one.
Would you rather lose an arm or a leg?
That is intense.
That light.
That's true. That's true.
It's not going to happen.
As it came out, I was like, this is intense.
Leg,
that is very
leg,
intense.
easily
I
leg.
think after seeing Soul Surfer, I'd also say leg.
Yeah.
I feel
Because
like it's
because
very
your
full on.
fingers mean more than your feet, and with all the technology of the Blade Runner, you know, the guy that
Yep.
killed the girl in South Africa, the Blade Runner.
Yeah.
I'd easily get a
I
leg.
don't know what he's talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
That
Oh,
killed
I think
his
that any,
girlfriend.
yeah.
The athlete. Yeah. That's heavy. This went too heavy. I didn't realize we'd get this
I thought
heavy.
you were going
That's
to say
heavy.
Mars Spiral Snickers, but yeah, whatever.
No, we talk limbs on Real Talk. Okay, here we go. The Philippines or Brisbane?
Oh, Philippines easily.
Philippines. For what? But
Yeah, yeah. No, okay, good. All right, here's a good one. Perth or jail?
Perth is the best city in Australia.
Oh,
Oh,
okay. Yeah, that's definitely
so
argument.
jail in Australia, do you mean?
No, Perth is.
Oh, yeah, true. Okay, so you take jail in Australia over Perth, the city? Yeah. All right, it's on record. It's on record.
Parents. I love parents.
This is one that I've never been able to answer myself personally, and I do wrestle with quite a lot.
This
Would
is
you
a stupid
prefer?
question.
It does weigh on my mind. Would you prefer a head half the size or a head twice the size?
On a body, like on our
On your body, would you prefer your head to be shrunk to half the size or doubled?
Why are all your questions weird body associated questions?
These are important questions.
This is like Katie's go-to would you rather question.
Because I know.
I'm scared to say double the size because my eyes are really big, so they'd be really big eyes. But I think that you could hide it with hair, whereas a small head, it's like you'd just be, or maybe a
I'd
small
go
head
small
with big
head.
hair.
You know why? You know why I go small head? Because when you have a big head, like double the size, nothing's available for you. Head half the size, you can wear kids.
True.
I've
That's
never
good.
heard
But
that
then also
perspective.
smaller head because you can have hair, bigger
Yeah,
hair,
Yeah.
like Texas. Woo!
Well, I was always like, my answer to that has always been like double because then you could just like grow your body into your head. No,
True.
No, because you'd look like you'd look like big head mode on NBA Jam. I don't know if you ever played.
amazing! What a great game.
Great game. I don't know.
Rather than, bro, your head the top of your head would be like.
Yeah, I think people would stare more with this small.
Yes, I agree.
Okay,
I
here we
can't-
go.
I thought,
This is where things get a bit philosophical. Okay, would you rather forget who you were or forget who everyone else was?
gosh.
Forget who I was.
Yeah,
Easily.
I agree.
Easily.
So you'd forget that you guys are married, forget that you have kids, all of that. Kind of
Well,
stuff.
no, because I won't forget her.
Oh, you
I
lost
think-
me
I
somewhere
think there's
around
a
there.
flaw.
You lost me.
There's a flaw in
I
your
agree.
question.
This was not my question. We
Yeah.
might edit this out in post.
You lost me back at forgetting
No,
something.
keep this in.
Yes,
People need to know
People need to know that.
my
All right.
intellect.
Yeah,
I
you did.
called it out.
You cracked the code. Okay. Would you rather be uglier or dumber?
Uglier or dumber?
I'd rather be uglier. Because
I don't know.
because
Uglier.
you can always fix ugly with
Oh,
plastic
gosh, you got an
surgery,
answer for everything.
but you can't fix dumb with plastic
Yeah.
surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're still smart, you'd
Let's
probably
do that.
get plastic surgery. So easily uglier.
Again, I thought it was going to be Coke or Pepsi, but whatever.
Okay, here's the last one. And this one's just for Kate. It's not for James. 'Cause we
Okay.
already know the answer for James. So, Kate, would you rather say everything that comes to your mind or say nothing ever again?
Listen, I want to just interject.
You're not allowed to answer in this one.
I'd probably say nothing ever again.
See,
That's what I said too. I
okay,
said
that's what
everyone-
Katie said.
I said that's why everyone likes babies. They don't hurt anyone's feelings. They don't say anything.
But I was like, you'd never be able to articulate.
You
that
sign
you love your
language.
kid.
You sign language.
Yeah, but it's.
Could show it, maybe.
All right, go, James. What would you say?
Good questions, though.
Probably actually, I don't know. I really don't know.
See,
We got
that's
him.
it.
We got him.
Yeah, we got you. We got no, but that could be really deep that he's just said
Yeah.
that.
Mm.
I don't know. I'm lost. I'm lost.
See? I'm
You
thinking.
lost me at
I'm not just saying anything that comes to my
you lost
mind.
me at the arms and the legs.
I want to take you into the plant behind you. I want to talk about the well-placed plant as
I
a
love
prop.
the plant.
But I'm not going to bring it up.
Hey,
I don't wanna
hey.
everything.
Speaking of well-placed plants, let's talk about well-placed people. You guys have recently just planted an incredible church in the Philippines. Obviously, well, it's
Great
been-
segue, Mendez.
Such a
You like
Great
that?
segue.
This is why they pay me the big bucks. Talk to us. Tell us about what's going on. You guys have just planted this church. Well, it's been now 6 years.
3.5 since we started service.
I was
Really?
rounding up.
But we've been living here longer.
4.5.
Yeah.
It took us 11
And it's
months.
been blowing up. It's been incredible. God's been using you guys in such a powerful way. Talk to us a little bit about that journey. Talk to us about what God's doing in your life. Because your story, and part of why I want you guys to share, is your story has been one that's so inspiring to, Katie and I, as leaders here in Sydney, in our church. We just, you guys have been great friends to us, but you guys are heroes to us as well. We're so inspired by what you're doing. We love you guys. We're so proud of what you guys are doing. And so with the heart and the intention to stir some faith in people and encourage people, tell us a little bit about what your journey's been and what God's doing in your church now.
You're so encouraging, Jason. You guys are so encouraging.
I always share. Let's hear your version.
Oh gosh, how it's looking now is so different than how it was at the beginning.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Well, we left Perth.
yeah,
We had a
It's
great
just-
job. We had a great job. We had a great life.
it's just, yeah.
And we had great reputation
Mhm.
and great opportunity. And we left all of that to come to nothing.
Wow.
Which is
Yeah,
actually quite
so-
funny. Actually, we haven't talked about that recently, but that's what we used to talk about is we kind of built our reputation up in Australia. And then when we came here, we were nobodies. No one knew us.
Just didn't know anyone. Yeah. And
Wow.
what was harder, I think, is just not having any. I mean, we knew one couple that lived a long way away when we arrived, James's friend.
When I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we didn't really
Wow.
know them, that they were there if we wanted to hang out, but we had to drive a really long way. And so when we arrived, it was just like we went from the craziness, busyness of being in a full church life of, in Australia, and then to coming here with nothing. I was pregnant with a 9-week-old, and then we had Hope, who was 13, 14 months old. So it's like we arrived, we're in a random Airbnb with mustard and green walls and a random chandelier that we always hit our heads on. And then no
Wow.
idea of where to go get groceries, no idea where to, the mall is. I would walk to
I knew a little bit. I knew a
he
little
knew,
bit.
he
You did.
knew where we were coming to, but I
'Cause
just
I grew
didn't
up
have
here.
a clue of anything. I didn't really know the culture too well. It was just all
The first
so
time
different.
we went to the mall, I grew up here till I was 10, and then I was here for my last year of high school, 17, 18. So I knew the area, I knew the culture. Obviously, coming back as an adult, it is still different. There's a massive readjustment, but not massive culture shock that way. I remember the first time we went to the mall, we drove in and I stopped, undid the locks on the door. Kate's like, "What are you doing?" Then all of a sudden, the guard in the back opens the trunk, the boot of the car opens it. Look, she's like, "Why are they doing that?" I said,
Why are they checking?
"Oh,
under
they're
the
just checking for
car?
bombs." And right. And it's like, it's so just normal for me. It's just,
I was like, "You're joking.
Wow.
You are joking me."
Wow.
and then get into the mall, they're checking
they're
your bags.
my
and-
bag, and I mean,
yeah.
now it's like it just is so normal to me, and just
Yeah.
second
Wow.
nature that when I will fly back to see our parents in Australia, I think, why is there no one checking our boot now? Why is no one checking my bag?
Someone could
when
have a bomb in
someone
Westfield.
in Westfield. So yeah, it is. It's just normal to me now. But I think that was the biggest thing, is that when we arrived, it was just like, how do we do life here, but also how do we then do church? Like, it
Wow.
just is.
I did
How do we do church when we don't even know how to do I don't even know how to do life
Yeah.
here. So
We
yeah.
did it. Someone asked me a question the other day and said, "What would you do different?" And I said, "Oh, everything."
Wow.
Yeah.
We started our church the worst way. People say, "Hey, we started church from scratch," but they got like 25 leaders that they stole from their last church or another church down the road. They're already all paying tithes, speaking in tongues.
Like, see,
Like, yeah, you started from scratch, champ. We
Amazing.
literally had this one couple who I knew the guy when I was 5, just met the wife. Then another dude that found me online when we said we're doing the church. So the 5 of us have a prayer meeting. Like, that's it.
Wow.
That's how we start.
and they're from all different
Yeah.
backgrounds of church and everything.
Oh,
so
wildly.
It was just
So it's been pretty
So
amazing. So we've
funny.
just kept at it. and really slogged it out, done the hard yards. You know,
Wow.
there's moments where I would walk out of the auditorium because the worship was so bad I wanted to die.
But it was really just loving on people. Like that was the only way that it would really
Wow.
build. You know,
it's
like
organically grown, the church.
Yeah,
It's
and
been
it's
pretty
like-
cool. Yeah.
relationally, it had to be, because it's like,
Yeah.
how else would people come? They don't-
And even then, trying to build relationship with, and there are cultural differences. So even though people speak English and understand English, there's still a massive cultural difference. And
True.
some of the English people feel uncomfortable with speaking, or they don't feel confident with it. And so, yeah. So really, I mean, honestly, for the last, so it took 11 months for us to start services. So when we landed, we did a prayer meeting. Then we started a Connect group, and then we kind of started these community gatherings. So it was about 11 months until we launched our church
Wow.
officially. And so that was 3.5 years ago. Yeah, and it's just
And
kind
so,
of
and so now there are thousands and thousands of people in the Philippines that call Favorite Church home. It's blessing not just a city, it's blessing the nation, and people around the world are being stirred by what you're doing. Talk to us about like how does it, because there are people that are going to be watching in whatever industry or world that they're in. They're starting with what's in front of them, and you guys have gone through that journey. For you guys, it's although it's probably felt long in the time of life, it's a short amount of time, 3.5 years. That's quick.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that journey, that process, and how it's just blown up to what it is, and like what's happening there.
We're in lockdown.
What's the secret, bro? What's the secret, bro?
Sorry, we gotta unlock the lockdown. I think if I can say one thing before you share, because you're so wise.
Because you know what?
You're so wise.
Come on, girl. Give me
So
some more.
eloquent and wise.
Give me some more.
Okay.
What else am I?
What now? Or later?
Can I edit it out?
Very good looking.
Come on, girl.
High impact, low intensity.
For beginners.
Getting fitter. No, I think the one thing that we've really tried is just being authentic to who we are.
Yeah.
And loving people, loving God, and knowing that what we want most is His presence, and we hunger after His presence. Because
So good.
what's the point of doing it if we don't have Him with us?
Yeah.
In everything, whether it be the 5 of us in a room praying for, what seemed to be crazy vision and everything back 4 years ago. But then now it's like, if we don't have His presence, then what's the point? It's just a whole group of people gathering. Used to be 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago. So I think that's the biggest thing for us, that we've always just wanting to be authentic, and we both crave His presence in our lives, in our marriage, in our family. So I think, and then just being ourselves as well. Maybe sometimes people feel like you have to be something different, but when you're leading people or trying to gather people or whatever, but I think people are just more drawn to authenticity,
Yeah.
being real. And so because we were trying to adapt to life here, we actually just had to be who we were, this is who I am. I would walk into a group of, in the small gatherings, I remember walking into a group of people and they'd be speaking in Tagalog, and then they'd so sweetly change to English because I'm there. And so I'm like adapting to I do feel like I'm not a part of it, but then Filipinos are so warm and loving and welcoming that they would always make me feel like I was, a part of their conversation and everything. So I think, just authenticity is the biggest thing. Being yourself, people are drawn to that. And then just, the biggest thing for us was hungering after His presence and wanting that to just go however many people to, however many people now. So
Powerful, man. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's I think a couple of things if you're talking about other people and what they're doing, the thing that nobody wants to hear is that it's actually a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
As well. So no one wants to hear that. Everyone wants the keys. Everyone wants the keys to the shortcut. There ain't no shortcut. And so, I think a huge thing is it's hard work. Like when we started, I would we would store all our sound equipment, whatever, in our condo. I'd go down by myself because we didn't have anyone else. So Kate's here with
And being
Hope
pregnant, I
and
think.
about 7 months
Yeah,
pregnant
really
at the
pregnant.
time when I started doing
Wow.
this. I'd go down to our basement, go underneath our basement, carrying these big, not big, but sound system, everything. Go up to the other tower in the condo, go to the function room, settle up, come back, go up, get the next thing, come down, do that in a singlet, shorts, then set it all up, go back upstairs, take a shower, come back downstairs, and then when we got a truck, we went to a new location. I drove the truck, unpacked the whole truck, got to the church, brought extra clothes, changed into it, so.
Then got up and preached.
Yeah, no. Did set the sound, put out the chairs,
Crazy.
did the sound, met every person at the front door, then got up and preached, so like we are so, I mean, Kate said it tongue in cheek, but it's so true. What it looks like now is nothing. And I'm actually a huge fan of always reminding people where we came from.
So good.
Because when you forget where you came from, you start getting big headed, you start taking things for granted.
True.
And as well, some people, like there are a lot of people now in our church that are riding off the momentum of very hard work at the beginning. A guy called Pastor David Stora said to me before I came out, I'll never forget it. He said, you starting a church, especially the way we were doing it, which was the dumbest way, you starting a church is going to feel like you are pushing a truck stuck in mud. And what will happen is that, you'll push it, you feel like you're doing nothing, and then someone will see and come and begin to help you, and you'll push it together, but it won't move, but then someone else will help you, and someone else, and slowly over time, more and more people, and slowly you'll begin to rock it, so you begin to move it, and then you begin to pick up momentum.
Wow.
And then once it starts going, it'll feel like it's going downhill, and that's what's happened with us. And so even now, a lot of people, see kind of where we're at now. We're still very, very, new as a church, and trying to work all this stuff out. In the last 2 years, we've grown a lot.
No, do it.
No, I'm just trying to. I don't even know a percentage yet. We've grown. We'll be in our church, in our new church building. Next month will be 2 years since we moved in at the end, and so we've gone from about all up about 250 people to about 3,000 people now.
That's
in 2
unbelievable.
years. And so 2 years ago, we had one staff member, not including us. We were volunteers still. We weren't getting paid. We were still trying to raise our own money. So one kids pastor. And I think now we have 17 staff
That's awesome.
as of this week, and 5 services.
Five
So,
yeah.
listen, a lot's happened in 2 years. And a lot of people want to see the success, and a lot, and it's a fair question what you say. Wow, give us the secret, give us the keys. Like, yo, you work hard. You work hard. You're real with people. Another thing that really helped us, we were talking about this the other day. A thing that has enabled us to grow very quickly, and can I say this as well? We never set out to grow quickly. Like, I am a lot different to a lot of my peers. There was a few guys that started churches around the same time as us.
Yeah.
And what was amazing is people have a perception. We've talked about this, Jason.
Yeah.
Where I hate it when people put me in a box, right? And I always love messing with people's heads. So people have this perception, I'm loud, I'm out there, I'm about this, I'm about that, and so they put me in the same box as maybe some other guys that build their brands, that are brash, and I'm going to do this and everything. But really, I'm loud and extroverted and have fun and preach and get passionate about Jesus. But when we started a church, I kept saying to everyone that I was around us, our peers, and to people we're starting to, I'm not going to change the world in 5 years. Give us 50, right? Because you want to do something in 5 years, you'll cut corners, you'll birth nails, you'll do things before they're ready,
right?
And because you're just trying to get the number, you compare yourself. Like one church, like I love Glow Church in the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
They supported us as a church for like 2.5 years, right? So I'm a big Glow Church fan.
Absolutely.
The biggest issue with Glow Church though is not Glow Church. It was that everyone started comparing themselves with Glow Church blew up in Australia, so now we all got it. Glow is the exception to the rule. It's not the rule. And even what we're doing, and by no means do I compare ourselves to Glow, but we're not the rule, because I've been involved in churches and this hasn't, like you said, it hasn't happened. And so we've never set out to grow fast. You know, people say, you know, how many people do you want the first year? I go, I don't care. I just want it to be healthy.
So
And that
good.
kind of messes with people's heads a little bit because healthy things grow.
Yeah.
So you start going, you know, you go, oh, we're going to have 500 people or it's a fail. Well, you're an idiot. You're setting yourself up for fail because now you'll do things to get 500 people, whether that's healthy or not.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Well.
And sometimes you need, and so even though things have happened very fast in the last 2 years, in the first 2.5 years, they were very slow, very, very slow. But to go back to what I was saying, I just need to throw that out there a little bit. Like we just, right? So again, me outside of the box. I should be young. I should be building my brand. I should be what. We deliberately whoa.
You even does that. Whoa.
Right. It's a Filipino thing. Let's just say. No, right? We deliberately didn't. We just launched a podcast 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not talking about online church or anything. And the only reason why we did it was because we were forced into it because of this lockdown.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to make sure that I was ready personally. Like I feel like we've done a great job in not rushing things and not trying to compare ourselves or catch up to other people.
Yeah.
We've just been us. And so, you know, for 3.5 years, people were getting upset at me. Why don't you have a podcast? Why don't you have online streaming? And literally, our reach has just exploded in the last 5 weeks online. But it was because we were forced to do it. Whereas, you know, people would have thought that I would have tried to have done this 3.5 years ago. Come on, we're going to do this. You know what I'm saying? So we took time. So I say all that to say this. The reason why we've grown very fast, I think, other than the main reason is the touch of God. And it's the breath of God on it. And again, no pastor wants to hear that. Because let me tell you what no pastor wants to hear. There are pastors that are holier than us. There are pastors that pray more than us.
Yeah.
There are pastors that have been doing this longer than us. And they'll see it and they'll go, how come it's happened for them and it hasn't happened for us? It's I don't know. And there's the wind of heaven that just so happened. And yeah, there probably are some reasons, you know. I went through some pretty big storms in my early adult life that other people will never go through that set me up a little bit, you know. There's all that kind of stuff. So number one, it's the breath of God that is out of all our controls. And just because you pray more doesn't mean the breath of heaven's gonna hit more. Because I know some people that pray way more than us, right?
Yeah.
Number two, and I think the reason why honestly it's really grown fast is we knew exactly who we were, which meant that we knew exactly who we weren't. Yeah. And when you start something from scratch, see, like some people look at us and go, oh, I could never start from scratch. That's so hard. And I look at them and go, oh, I could never take over a church. That's so hard. Because when you take over a church, you spend sometimes years having to change culture, having to win people, having to do this, right, all along. When we started the church, because we had been, you know, by the time I started church, I think I'd been in ministry staff, part-time or full-time for 12 years. Plus, I've been in church for, you know, by that point, 31 years. I've grown up in church. Kate's grown up in church, not at the ministry level that I had because of our families, but you'd been on church staff for, what, 6 years? Something like that? Yeah, 6 years. And so, and we, you know, I was the executive pastor of Kingdom City in Perth, large church, biggest church in Perth. We'd grown from like 200 to 5,000 in 7 years in Perth. And we had gotten to see everything we'd seen. There's even bits within that journey where I looked back at when we moved here. I went, ooh, I didn't like how I did that. Ooh, I didn't like how I became. Ooh, I valued that when I shouldn't have valued that. So when we turned up here, all of a sudden we really knew who we were and who we weren't.
Right.
Like we knew. And knowing who you're not is as important as knowing who you are. So because the moment that something comes in, and culture is king in church. It's presence of God and then it's culture, right? Culture is king. So perfect example, right? We have 28, 30 people max attending our little community gatherings, right? These little tiny things. Every person is gold at this point. You don't care who they are. They're gold. They're a human body on a seat, right? That's what you want. So this guy came up to me and he's like, I really like this church because, and like, it was horrible. He's like, I really like this church because like, it's really nice and quiet. The worship, it's quiet. At that point, we had a cajon.
Yeah.
We might not even had a cajon. We just might have had an acoustic and a piano, right? So it's quiet. So I have this like full-on God conversation in a split second in my head, which is this. Am I going to water down my convictions and what I believe in just to keep this person in our church?
Come on, preach that, bro.
Or am I going to say what I have as a conviction, and I'm the pastor of the church, and at the end of the day, the pastor is the one that hears from God for the direction and the conviction of the church. As long as it aligns with the word of God, it always comes through to senior pastor. And if anyone's watching right now, and I love you to bits, but if you're watching and you just went, in that, you got an issue with godly submission. I don't even want to go, like, y'all just need to work.
Go get him.
Right? So that's your issue. It's not the pastor, because the pastor's got to go by their conviction.
Wow.
And so as long as it's aligned with the word of God, as long as it's aligned. So I had this thing of, what am I going to do? And in that moment, I made a decision and I said, no, I got to be who I am. I can't be.
So good.
And so I said to him, listen, then this church probably isn't the one for you, because the moment that we launch services and we're going into a bar, we already knew where we were going to go. We're going to go to a bar. We got a big band. We're going to have drums. It's going to be loud. We are an energetic, we are a faith-filled church. So we might not be the church for you. That's a pretty big deal.
Huge.
That to kind of basically say to that guy, hey, go. Like, don't come to our church. We're not the one for you. And what that did was it just aligned us so clearly that we were going to stay true to who we are. And so in the Philippines, we've got a lot of people from a lot of other churches come, check us out, see us. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you do this? And we just say, that's not who we are. This is who we are. And if you don't like it, and so like we do, I don't know if you want me to get practical on church stuff.
Go. This is awesome.
We do something called a new people night, right? We used to do this in our old church. We kind of made it our own a little bit, but it's a great idea. It's like a welcome to church party, right? Churches have their own thing.
Yeah.
So we do it, and the way we advertise it is this. We'll advertise it in our news, and then I'll get up and just affirm it in front of the whole church. And we've been getting new people. I mean, we get a lot of new people, right? So we hand out like anywhere between 90 and 120 new people's bags a week, right? Amazing. That's just a bag. So that may represent a family. So we got all these new people coming. So there's always this constant big portion of new people in our church. And so I get up, and this is how I say it. I go, listen, a lot of people waste 6 to 12 months coming to our church trying to work out, is this my church or not? Do I like the values? Do I like the pastor? I said, I hate that, because you waste 6 to 12 months of being planted, of serving, of being involved, and actually being a part of the family, right? So I said, so we designed this night that we really hope that by the end of this night, God would speak to you. On this night, we're going to tell you where we came from. So we do like this cool historical video showing, the 5 people in the room praying. It's really cool. So where we came from, we tell you who we are. And when I say we tell you who we are like no holds bar. We deal with every issue that you can deal with when it comes to church, where it comes to, in the Philippines, there's some large churches here that don't believe in women preachers, that don't believe in the gifts of the Holy Spirit. So I'm like out there straight away. We love women preachers. We're a tongue-speaking, shakaruba, Pentecostal church.
Yeah.
We deal straight away with any LGBTQ questions about how our church feels or how we let serve. We are just so straight. And then I share the vision of our church straight away. So we advertise it in this way. By the end of this night, you'll know our church. And our prayer is that God would speak to you whether or not this is your church. And I say this, I go, because my heart is not that you would come to Favorite Church. My heart is that you would go to church. That's our heart. And so whether it's this church or another church, I don't want you being a pot plant going around. Get in a church. And so if you say to me, hey, this isn't our church, I am as happy with hearing that as I am hearing with this is my church. Right? You're a pastor. You know that not many pastors say that, and not many pastors do that.
Yeah.
But I believe it's because of that conviction that we've had of this is who we are, and we're not changing for anyone other than God.
Yeah.
And when I say we're not changing, our principles never change.
That's right.
There's a difference between principle and preference, right? So your principle will never change. Your principle is who you are. It's our conviction from the Word of God. So we believe this because the Word of God says it. Our preference is the style of music. Of course, that's going to change.
Yeah.
But in this season, it's our preference. How we dress, of course, that's going to change. But in this season, this is our preference. But our principles will never change regardless of what seasons come, of what anything. So I believe that's actually one of, other than the breath of God, the pneuma of God, the just being there, right, to go a bit Greek on you. Other than that, I think the reason why we've grown so fast, obviously as well what Kate was saying, authenticity is because we have been very clear with who we are. And what that's enabled to happen is that as new people have come to church, they have become favorite church very quickly because the culture is so strong.
I think, can I add to it?
Yeah, please.
Maybe please.
Is that all right? So
I like the way you cut, like, just how you cupped your shoulder. It was like,
I know. No, I think that I was just thinking as we talked before about the lockdown, that it felt like we were in quarantine when we arrived here, right? So it's like everyone in the world is experiencing what we experienced when we first arrived here.
Wow.
Which, yeah, like I said, it feels like our second time being in lockdown, really, because we didn't really know anyone, didn't know where to go when we arrived. But that was such an important time for us to work out what we valued and what we didn't value and what was really important and what not so important. You know, those principles that James is talking about. What were preferences that, you know, because we just, church to us looked, that next Sunday when we arrived was the opposite of what we had just left. We'd left you know, a going away party, big thing, and then we arrived and it's like, we didn't even have those 5 people. We just had us, and it's like, whoa, is this, you know, what is important to us?
In that season as well, and this is a good thing for any minister, pastor, or just a person. We probably worked out as well some things that we thought were principles, but actually they were preferences.
Yeah.
Right.
And that probably been a journey that we'd been on for a few years. We're going, you know, because we were raised in church. So it's like, don't do that, it's bad. Okay, cool. Where's that in the Bible? And then you're going, wait, what do you mean? You know what I'm saying? So working out what is a principle that you're going to, because a principle, I will fight you to the death on.
Yeah.
Because it's a word of God. It's a word of God thing. But a preference, maybe we don't need to fight and kill people over preferences anymore.
Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah, I think
that was a shift in us. So some things where we were like before, now it's like, huh? And then here's another thing for you as a church people. You start hanging out with non-Christians and you start having unchurched people coming into your life. It's like all of a sudden the things that you valued as church, like there's a principle, you realize, hold on, that's not a principle, that's a preference. And you know, maybe I valued the wrong things. Maybe.
But I think the more I think about it now, maybe that all came through that initial when we arrived. You know, like we had time. We had time to really work out who we were, what we wanted Favor to ultimately be. You know, it was not easy to have that vision and that, you know, like this is what we have now. I mean, I didn't have that every day when I woke up. I was pretty miserable most days and not really enjoying life because obviously friends and family is around you is what makes life just so much better, and having church people and, you know, and we didn't have that. So it's like, but it gave us it was almost like a forced lockdown like this. And so I think for me,
it built toughness in you.
It did. And it just really instilled into me that what really matters. What really matters is the connection that I have with people on a Sunday. Maybe not so much, you know, what I valued years before on a Sunday. But
You're kind of talking about this tension between hard work and then no work, which is like the grace of God. It's like there's this element where we can't do it. Jesus said he'll build his church. The gates of hell will not prevail against it. So he will build it. And there's nothing that we can, our job is to water, our job is to plant the seed, and God's job is to bring the increase. So there's this no work element. But then there's this hard work element where you can literally run through verse after verse about working hard, about being a good steward, being faithful with what you have, being faithful in small things. So there's this tension, right? You guys got to this point and have lived that life out. What's your message to someone who is in a place in their life where they're about to step into their calling, they're standing on the precipice of something significant for their future and their life, but it's going to cost them everything? Like you guys had to up and go. You had to leave your past, your friends, your comfort, your home, your people, your church, to go and do this thing that God put in your heart. What are you saying to that person, to that sacrifice, that risking it all? What are you saying to that person?
I'll say it. Yeah.
Well, let's see.
It's worth it. It
Yeah.
is worth it.
Yeah.
Because it's for Jesus, it's worth it.
Yeah.
You have to make sure that it's a God word.
That's true.
Yeah.
So
Because
good.
if you don't, because whatever you're about to walk into, especially if you're about to sacrifice or give up or anything, it's going to cost you. And I promise you, it will cost you more than you think it will cost. Even if you go, yeah, I know it's going to cost this much, it always costs more. And if you don't have a God word in the middle of those storms, you will give up.
True.
Wow.
So if you make a decision based on your emotion or based on a good idea, then you'll give up. But if you're, if you're sure it's a God word, not sure, you have to be sure it's a God word, because when the storms come, which they will, you hold on to the God word. That is the only reason why we are still married.
Yeah.
And I think you have to hold on to the
And
God word.
I'm sure you too as well. Like,
the collateral damage around us would be so much, so it's almost worth, if they're not sure, don't do it, because, or if you haven't really got that God word, then don't. Maybe you're trying to push a door open because you feel that's what you should be doing, or I don't know, don't do it because the collateral damage later on in your family or the people around you in the church, that you can't do it anymore and you freak out and you leave. Like, what about those people, so that's why.
And the God word as well, there is strength in numbers. Like when we decided to move to the Philippines, we weren't the only, like,
oh yeah, for sure.
There was people around us going, fantastic, great idea. That, there was people going, you're crazy.
Yeah.
But, there's people like, now we see it, you can do it. When we were released from our church to begin our own church, we had many people come around us going, yep, great decision. This is right. This is the thing to do. So we weren't like, we didn't have a God word and everybody else was against us.
Definitely listening to people.
Yeah, we had wise counsel.
Yeah, wise counsel for sure.
Yeah.
But I will never forget, there is a line that I'll never forget. It was the adventure of eternity. And it stuck with me so much that this is the adventure of eternity. This is, am I wanting to go on that adventure with Jesus, or am I going to just do what I, could do, which was comfortable for me for the rest of my life, or am I going to be uncomfortable for him? And don't get me wrong, like, we've been so blessed in the last few years of being here, and in a way that I think we would never have been blessed if we were still where we were living in Australia. God's just poured out blessing on us, but never for that reason we didn't do it. It was always because that's just what we felt he was calling us to do. Wow. And so, yeah.
But I think people should take risks. There's like 1,000 famous people that have made the quote on their deathbed. So, who knows who said it. But what would you do if you had one more chance in life right on your deathbed? What's one of the most given answers? I would have taken more risks.
Yeah, wow.
YOLO, baby. It's more than just a catchphrase.
Yeah.
You know what? Speaking of risks, right? You are actually quite a risk taker, Pastor James, Mr. James Aiton. You are quite a risk taker. You don't realize, maybe you do realize this. I don't know, but we do have. We're going to wrap this up very soon, but we have a segment that we do also called the deep dive, and the deep dive is a deep dive into your past, into your history, into your life. where we got hookups, we got people that speak to us, send us things, and we've gotten a hold of some photos, and so we just wanted to know if you guys could explain some of these risks that you've taken. What's this risk right here? What is that? Why is that?
That was.
That's how I met you with the long hair.
That wasn't a risk. That was like
just
the times,
trendy.
man.
That made me think, wow, what a
That was surf culture,
cool.
Australia, in the mid 2000s.
yeah. I
Like-
thought you were.
Like it gets better. Like
I worked at a surf shop then.
Oh, the bangs were bad decision.
That was.
It was a bad decision.
Listen.
I was gonna say we found this really great picture of you, Kate, and your sister. It's
Ayo. Listen.
No, it's.
Listen. Let me fess up for that one. That was.
I
If
like
you
your
look at
hair
my
there.
hair, you know how good my hair
I
looks
like your
there.
hair there.
I had a GHD hair straightener.
Yeah.
And
Stop
so I
it.
used to straighten my hair.
I think I would prefer your hairstyle than mine right now.
Yeah, that's when I started letting the blonde grow out. There, that
Yeah, it
was when
was-
we first were dating. That's
No,
when we
no,
first
it wasn't. No. That's,
Were we
that's
married?
At,
Like, I think
Oh,
you
we
were
are
ready
married.
for
There's
this
a ring
one.
on.
yeah, that's at
Yeah, you weren't ready.
Oh,
for
that
this
is
one.
Pastor
perfect.
David. Pastor David.
That's impressive. Oh yeah, we're married. Jeez.
Yeah.
my goodness. And then there's something that I wanted to explain. The pout.
Yeah.
I see this pout a lot. I've been friends with you for a long, long time.
Yeah.
I need.
It's just there, Jason.
This is a question
I don't
that
have a
people of Australia want to know.
When I
I
smile,
don't know.
and however you're editing this, you can show it because I'll do it for you. When I smile, I have really squinty eyes.
His eyes shut.
I
For
used
some
I
reason.
used to get called a derogatory Asian term when I was in high school in Australia. I will not repeat
Terrible.
it. And so, and I have chubby cheeks, so I
Yeah.
actually don't have a great smile. So in a lot of
You do,
photos,
You
my
just
pout is
looks
kinda like my-
completely different in photos. If he smiles, he just looks completely
Yeah.
different. So he's always just
it's just that sexy pout.
yeah.
I do. I like that pout. There was a photo that we found when I was on your show recently. Someone made fun of me because I was singing and I was wearing an outfit that was relevant. Yeah, whatever it was, 10 years ago.
Nope.
This is when the
And
When
V
you were on my show,
is a
you
scarf,
were wearing
a scarf
a
and a t-shirt.
scarf and a t-shirt, which meant cold enough for a scarf, but not cold enough for a jacket.
No, he didn't.
But
He
it's
just
fine,
felt
right?
really there
What's
for-
wrong? What's wrong with what I'm wearing there?
fashion.
That looks good.
No, you look great. You're wearing this like button-up V-neck kind of situation going on. I think you look great. I'm
Yeah,
just saying
the-
the
you
face
remember-
has
Shirt-
been
that
cool.
was at
Remember when the V's kept getting
that was
lower
at
and
Youth
lower?
Alive.
Yes.
That was my first Youth Alive that I ran in a stadium.
That's right.
I was giving it all for Jesus that night.
I love it. I love it. You look incredible. Shout out to Mark Ash, whoever you are, bro. Praying for
He's a
the
great
Mark,
photographer.
yeah,
I do
he
love
is.
Mark Ash.
We love you. And hey, this last one, what's going on
Oh.
here? Tell us what's happening.
That's
Looks painful. Looks exciting. It's just a
was it?
plethora
was a-
of emotion.
That was a wedding. It was a wedding, and we were dancing.
That is a reflection of us on the dance
Yeah,
floor.
he loves dance floors at weddings, and I'm not
You
the
don't like
keenest. I'm not.
But
I'd say
Yeah.
at this
he
point,
pulled me on, and at that point,
yeah,
I was,
but what's powerful
Wasn't
about this photo is that Kate was pregnant in this photo. No one knew.
Yeah.
And this was the photo we used to announce our first pregnancy.
so good. So
that's a
good.
great photo. I actually
Oh,
love that.
yeah.
That's us though.
Your
Like
neck was
I'm
great.
100% like let's rip up the dance floor.
Look,
Yeah, I look like
I
I
enjoy dancing.
You got a
had
great
work done.
jawline.
I had work
You've
done.
got a great jawline. I've got a horrible jawline.
Well, yours is, you
I'm
can't even
freaking chubby.
see it.
You've got a great jawline. Hope our kids get your jawline.
No, wait, hey,
I gotta stick my head out.
and hit him with the
That's
couch.
not too bad. Those photos.
Hey, quick shout out to our sponsors today, Adidas.
Yeah.
Hey, honestly,
Not,
sponsor the show. All right, sponsor the show if you're watching, listening. Hey, look, you know what? We want to say this.
That's not even funny. I got a guy in my church who gets 300 pairs of shoes from Adidas every year.
Yo, send it.
I know, right?
Send it.
2 children.
I'll wear this jumper every
Small size.
You only
every
get
week.
one.
if you need.
I wore this jumper for church for one of our services, and I texted him. I said, "Hey, text your Adidas bosses. Tell them I want a deal."
Did you get it? What happened?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Hey, you know what? We flippin' love you guys so much. Honestly, like you kind of alluded to it earlier, James, but you guys have been like, there's been like some pretty challenging times that Kate and I have been through. Like even 2 weeks ago, I was on the phone to James in the middle of the night, pouring my heart out, like, hey man, what do I do here? What? You guys have been like just some of our greatest friends. We love you so much. We're so proud of you. We're so inspired by you guys. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for your love. We're honored. We're so honored that we get to even get an opportunity to be in relationship with you guys, do life with you guys. Thanks for being just such great voices of encouragement to us. Hey, if anyone's watching, go follow these guys on social media. Get behind them. Get behind their church. Get behind what they're doing. They're incredible leaders, incredible friends. We love you guys so much. Katie, anything you want to say?
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time. Have an incredible martial law season.
Hey, and enjoy your third baby.
Come
Thank
on.
you.
So exciting.
We've shared so much life with you guys. We love you. So much more life left to do. Hey,
Bless
thank
you
you guys. Thanks for coming on. Mwah. Bless you
Mwah.
guys.
Enjoy your quarantine.